Let's start with Joe Biden's $1 trillion stimulus plan. We're getting word this morning from some reporting inside Team Biden, well, it is Monday after all, that there could be a $1 trillion stimulus plan in the works from Vice President Biden's team because of some troubling economic news that they've gotten in recent days. Now, this is troubling. Economists are warning Biden that if he wins the election and he takes office in January, that he will have an economic disaster on his hands. That's right. Very similar to what President Obama had on his hands when he inherited it from George W. Bush. Now, in all fairness, it wasn't like George W. Bush created an economic crisis. We had the enormous housing crisis that unfolded. There's arguments to be made that this was created under Bill Clinton, propagated even further under George W. Bush, encouraging people to get massive home loans that they couldn't afford without jobs and looking the other way with very little government oversight. So it kind of started under Clinton, rolled even further under George W. Bush. We all know what happened in the fall of that year when John McCain was running against President Obama, or then Senator Obama, and then he started his administration with an absolute crap storm at his feet. And the same thing could be happening right now if Vice President Biden wins the election. He could be sitting there with an absolute crap storm at his feet come January. So what is his team doing? It's like deja vu all over again, isn't it? Really, it is. Biden's team is quietly planning a $1 trillion January stimulus package just to buy enough time for them to then pass their $3 trillion Build Back Better. I hate the name of this. They call it the Build Back Better plan. So just so you hear me correctly, they would pass a $1 trillion stimulus package in January just to buy themselves enough time until the spring when they would roll out that $3 trillion Build Back Better plan later in the spring. Now the warning, here's the big warning in all of this, is that economists are telling Joe that every day that the extra stimulus is delayed only serves to increase the ultimate size of the final cost to the economy. So that right now, as the economy is waiting on the stimulus from Congress, every day that passes causes uncertainty in the marketplace, causes jobs to be lost. We see the furloughs about to unfold from United Airlines, American Airlines, MGM. I mean, the list is going on and on and on. We're going to get to job losses here in just a minute on the show, and we'll deep dive that plus unemployment. But Biden's signature economic plan, his stimulus plan that he talked about back a few months ago, is called that Build Back Better plan. That wouldn't hit until the spring. And so this basically would be an additional $1 trillion plan. He would want to spend an additional $775 billion for working parents and caregivers over 10 years. So there's a lot in this, and we don't know the framework of what this is going to be. But folks, you have economists now telling Vice President Biden quietly, Grover's not happy about it either, but you have economists telling Biden quietly that there is a disaster on your plate. You're not going to walk into office in January if you win with a clean slate and a beautiful economy. You're not. Let's talk about the reality check in all of this. The reality check is that even if Biden wins, okay, and Democrats win the Senate, which is a big if Mitch McConnell gets pushed out of the leadership position and Democrats can actually win the Senate, they'd have to be able to get a majority there like they have in the House and be able to pass something through. Even if that happens, Biden's advisors know that it's going to be difficult to pass such a plan within a short amount of time since Inauguration Day. So they're going to have to try to force it through as quickly as possible. Literally, they would be inaugurated in January and try to get something quickly written to paper. So look, I think what they're saying is in January, we are going to be in an absolute crap storm. I want you to understand that. What he's seeing, what now economists are seeing, is that in January, when then President Biden takes office, if he wins, I mean, this is all hypothetical, that we are going to face an economic disaster. Senate Leader Mitch McConnell has said that he only wants President Trump to spend $1 trillion this fall. He's warned President Trump about going any higher than that. But it looks like now that the Republicans are willing to concede at least a little bit of money. News over the weekend is that Mark Meadows has said that they might be willing, the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is saying that they might be willing to come to the table and pass additional stimulus money beyond that $1 trillion. They might be willing to come up to the Democrats' 1.3 up to 1.3 trillion instead of 1 trillion. Now, Nancy Pelosi, though, for her part, has said, quote, we're not moving. We're not budging. We're not going. If they don't come to 2.2 trillion, there's no discussion. We're not even negotiating. Mark Meadows, though, this week saying that they might be willing to come up to 1.3, so that additional $300 billion just to kind of get some movement on this. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Just a little bit of movement from Republicans. Again, it's no telling whether or not Mitch McConnell can get his 20-member caucus to even come to the table and vote for it. So that's great that Mark Meadows of the White House says that they might be willing to come up. But Mitch McConnell and his merry band of Republicans who said they don't want to vote for anything might not agree to it at all. You already have, Rand Paul and Ted Cruz that don't want anything. They don't want to spend any additional money. They don't think we can afford it. They feel like that their stimulus package they've already passed back in March was sufficient, that there's enough money still in the economy, still waiting to be spent by state and local governments that they can reapportion and get that money out there. But all of this said, folks, we are headed for a government shutdown at the end of September. Mark my words, I'm going to be doing other videos on it, but I can smell it. I can smell it in the air. We are headed for a government shutdown at the end of September. Mark my words. They are not back until mid-September anyway. And then are we going to be discussing a stimulus package? But we still need to pass appropriations bills by September 30th, or we go to a government shutdown again. Is President Trump going to want to be the president presiding over a government shutdown a few weeks before the election? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to do it. And then Mitch McConnell, what is he going to do? What will be his priority? Will he come out with his, we got to pass a government shutdown bill. That's what we got to pass. That's our first order priority. Okay, that's our first priority. Government shutdown. We've got to make sure that doesn't happen. And then stimulus. What? What happens to the stimulus? Will Democrats try to lump that inside of it to try to get it passed? This is their, I know all the cliches that we can't stand, Trojan horse and other things, but could this be their Trojan horse moment? Layering in a stimulus that goes inside of an appropriations bill, multiple appropriations bills to avoid a shutdown. So two different major stories on the stimulus. Team Biden getting ready for an economic disaster when he takes office in January if he wins the election. Republicans coming to the table possibly with an additional $300 billion, nowhere near what Nancy Pelosi wants, but still above what Mitch McConnell wants. So is the White House willing to come up to 1.3 trillion, and can they get any movement at all before a government shutdown at the end of September? My money is on no. Given their track record of being able to get anything done, my money is on no. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Where's your money? Do you think that Congress is going to get anything passed before September 30th? Frankly, anything before Election Day? I don't. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I would be stunned if they get something done here in the next few weeks when they get back from vacation. Stunned. You can call me stunned.